Welcome back, Red Devils fans. Fire in today's video, we're breaking down Manchester United's end-of-season plans, including Hojlund's transformation, Bruno Fernandes' new role, and some huge transfer updates. Let's dive in. Hojlund transformation, new Fernandes role and transfer agreement in Man United end-of-season plan. The latest Manchester United transfer news with the Manchester Evening News taking a look at what could happen towards the end to the season. Ruben Amorim will be looking for a positive end to the 2024/2025 season after a disappointing start to life at Manchester United. The 40-year-old replaced Erik ten Hag as United's new permanent head coach in November and has since won just 9 and drawn 3 of his 21 matches at the helm. In the Premier League, United have struggled. They sit in 15th position, having picked up just 29 points from their opening 25 games. United have all but ruled themselves out from getting a European place via the league, unless they can forge together a remarkable run between now and the end of the season. As for the other competitions, United are out of the Carabao Cup, but they remain in the FA Cup and the Europa League. Although United's form has been terrible this season, they have a realistic chance of winning both of those and should be looking to target 2 more trophies before the end of the campaign. Other than that, there are a number of other priorities that United need to fix in the next couple of months. And with that in mind, the Manchester Evening News have predicted their most realistic outcomes for the rest of the season. Hojlund rediscovers form. Rasmus Hojlund has flattered to deceive during Amorim's time in charge of United so far. The Dane has scored just 5 goals in 20 appearances across all competitions since the Portuguese took charge. It has been a worrying trend that has seen Hojlund criticized for his performances and lack of scoring threat at the top end of the pitch. There were some calls for United to sign a new number 9 in the January transfer window and drop Hojlund, less than 18 months since his £72 million move from Atlanta. Unlike some underperforming stars, Hojlund has the potential to become a center forward. There's no doubt about it. And with time, Amorim can get the best out of the Denmark international. Come the end of the season, it's not out the realms of possibility that Hojlund scores 10 more goals and cements himself as United's long-term first-choice striker, eliminating the need for a new one in the summer. Youngsters offered chance. United's focus for the rest of the season should be on the Europa League. Although the FA Cup is going to be important to ensure United give themselves the best chance of ending the campaign by picking up a domestic trophy, Europe's secondary competition offers United qualification for the Champions League. Ruben Amorim fans' verdict makes next Manchester United move clear for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Ineos have reached a year in charge at Man United, and the Manchester Evening News has canvassed supporter opinion on how the first 12 months have gone. Sir Jim Ratcliffe may or may not be an avid reader of the Manchester Evening News, but the survey we conducted to gauge fan sentiment on his first 12 months as a minority investor in the club doesn't make for comforting reading. A total of 67% of the respondents said they were very worried by Ineos' running of the club on the evidence at hand so far. A further 24% were at least slightly worried, meaning 91% of supporters are concerned by what they have seen during Ratcliffe's year in command. It's a far cry from the feeling in February last year when Ratcliffe's £1.25 billion investment was confirmed, handing him just over a quarter of the club. With that deal came control, however, and it has been the 72-year-old calling the shots rather than the Glazer family for the last 12 months. It's been a dispiriting year, however. There has been a change in manager that was more expensive than it needed to be. A 5-month spell for sporting director Dan Ashworth that cost the club £4.1 million, 250 redundancies with more to follow, a string of cuts to staff bonuses and a rise in ticket prices. It's probably not surprising that 79% of fans said they had a worse opinion of Ratcliffe now compared to a year ago. None of this pain was expected back then, when there was only positivity that the Glazers' iron grip on the club was at least being loosened a little. However, all hope is not lost for Ratcliffe. Although 64% of supporters feel United won't ever be successful under his control, a figure that feels high after just 1 year, just over a third still retain the faith that the pain being felt now will eventually be worth it. And there appears to be one reason for that. Ratcliffe hasn't had much to celebrate over the last year, but 43% of people believe appointing Ruben Amorim has been his best call. 33% picked progress on Old Trafford redevelopments, and 24% picked modernizing the football structure. Amorim has had a nightmare start to his tenure as head coach, and United have lost 8 of their last 12 Premier League fixtures. But the 40-year-old retains the backing of supporters. He has come across as an engaging and open talker in public, statesmanlike when required, but also critical of what he has found at the club. It is understandable that supporters want him to succeed, and there is an acceptance at the moment that he simply doesn't have the squad to play the system he demands. With supporters now at least suspicious of Ratcliffe but nailing their colors to the mast when it comes to Amorim, the former has to find the funds to give the latter the transfer window he needs this summer. There would have been no point in appointing Amorim to play a style that doesn't fit this squad only to tell the Portuguese head coach. Chelsea learn potential Conference League opponents and could face Man United reunion. Chelsea have a perfect record so far in the Europa Conference League and could face Real Betis in the last 16, with Manchester United flop Antony heading to the Spanish side on loan last month. Chelsea will face either Copenhagen or Real Betis in the next round of the Europa Conference League. The Blues finished top of the league phase, winning all 6 of their games and scoring 26 goals in the process. It meant they were able to sit back and watch while several clubs attempt to qualify for the last 16, and they could now find themselves facing Manchester United loanee Antony. Chelsea are firm favorites to win Europe's third-tier tournament, which is still relatively new to the calendar, but may have to negotiate the La Liga outfit who have helped Antony back to his best following a torrid time at Old Trafford. The Brazilian has scored 3 times in 5 outings and was nominated for La Liga's Player of the Month award. The draw will take place on Friday, by which point the West Londoners will be able to view their route to the final, which will take place at the Wrocław Stadium in Warsaw on May 28th. Betis currently sit 8th in La Liga while Copenhagen are top of the Danish league on goal difference. Chelsea would be heavy favorites to beat them both with the Europa Conference League, their last hope of winning silverware this term. Fiorentina, who have been beaten finalists for the last 2 years, are the second favorites to beat Chelsea to the trophy. The earliest the Italian side could face the Blues would be the semi-finals, but depending on the draw, it could also be the showpiece event itself. Chelsea find themselves in the Europa Conference League having finished 7th last year, only for the Red Devils' FA Cup success to see them go into the Europa League ahead of the Blues. Maresca's side have dominated games, demolishing Armenian side Noah 8-0 at Stamford Bridge, with former player Joe Cole stating they're almost too big for the competition. Chelsea shouldn't be in this competition, but this is where they are, he said on TNT Sport. This tournament doesn't start for Chelsea until the quarterfinals or semi-finals. They are massive favorites to win it, and they should be. Former England striker Peter Crouch said earlier this year, "Looking at some of the names, I just don't see how they can lose this tournament." Manchester United contract talks revealed as Transfer Truth on Forgotten Star emerges. Manchester United playmaker Christian Eriksen is holding talks with former club, Odense Bold Club, OB, ahead of the summer transfer window, but not all is as it seems. Earlier this week, journalist Fabrizio Romano claimed the Denmark international had been informed he would not be having his contract at Old Trafford extended beyond the end of the season. The Manchester Evening News understands that Eriksen is likely to move on from United at the end of the campaign, having seen his game time diminish in recent months. When on international duty in November, Eriksen confirmed he hadn't undertaken talks with United about a new deal. With the 33-year-old set to move on to pastures new at the end of the season, there have been suggestions that the midfielder could return to his old club in Denmark should they be promoted to the Superliga. They currently sit top of the first division and are favorites to win the title. Sporting director Troels Beck told TV2 Sport that while his club are in talks with Eriksen about future projects surrounding his first team, discussions about a playing return are not currently on the agenda. If you hope to stand and be able to break something about Christian Eriksen and OB right now, that is both out of my hands and maybe also a little bit ambitious, Beck explained. He's of course a dear friend of the club, and we have just organized the Christian Eriksen Cup with his great approval. So he is a player who means more than just a shirt number and 90 minutes for OB. There's dialogue. Most recently, he has also helped us with video and other things for the Christian Eriksen Cup. The sporting director went on. But it's also not my privilege to stand and talk about contract talks. That's not the dialogue we have with Christian Eriksen right now.